Yeah. I'll just take from there. Yeah, you can take. When did you come back? Yeah. Tuesday.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for joining. We will resume the session in 1 second. Share screen. Okay. All right, so let's begin with the Mangalacharan prayer. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Sapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Lagunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्तकाञ्चन गौराङ्गे राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्यं नवरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं तते जयम् उदीरते चिन्वतां सुकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनः हृदयन्तस्थो हितवद्दामि भुजयोतु सुधिष्ठितां वश्रपायष्टभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतसेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी Hare Krishna. First of all, I like to apologize all of you for getting delayed in starting the session. So we are currently discussing Canto 3, Chapter 6, the creation of universal form. So as we studied earlier that um, Shri Vidura, Mahatma Vidur actually, he met Maitreya Rishi and asked several questions. And he requested him to answer those questions in details, keeping Krishna is the center of that discussion, focusing on Krishna. So to that, Maitreya Rishi started answering the questions which Vidura asked. He asked several questions in various different topics, but he pointed to Maitreya Rishi that why don't you start uh, answering the question by narrating the pastimes of the Supreme Lord, the creation pastimes of the Supreme Lord. So therefore, Maitreya Rishi starts describing the creation aspect of the Supreme Lord. And in this sixth chapter, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti titles this chapter as the fourth description of the universal form. This is the fourth time the universal form will be discussed in this particular chapter, in this particular canto. So, this chapter, he begins that how the gigantic universal form is manifested by the will of the Supreme Lord. Right? So, with the very sequence of event, if we see over here, that the discussion is going between over here currently between Vidura and Maitreya Rishi. And Vidura was sent to Maitreya Rishi by Uddhava. When Vidura met Uddhava in Vrindavan, at that time he said that, Krishna, while leaving the planet, he was actually thinking about you. And he was actually, while living, so he was thinking about him. And so Vidura was overwhelmed by hearing this. And he wanted to hear more, but Uddhava was given a task by Lord Krishna himself to go to Badrikashram. So therefore he said that, I would not be able to answer all your questions or clear your doubts, but you can hear them from Maitreya Rishi. So therefore, Vidura approaches Maitreya Rishi. We see here he is approaching Maitreya Rishi, and then he asks all those questions. So while answering these questions, Maitreya Rishi he describes that the state of the universe currently, all the elements in this universe is in a um, so before this, there in the chapter 5, there were prayers of the demigods, if you have remember the prayers of the demigods. And these prayers were very beautiful prayers. They are like very devotional prayers. And these prayers indicated that these demigods, who are elemental demigods, are actually coming from Lord Vishnu himself. Lord Karanadaksha Vishnu himself. They all these demigods who are controller of all these elements, they are part of him. And they have a job to do. They have a job. What is the job? Their job is to help the Supreme Lord in manifest the creation pastime. But they were unable to do that. So because they don't know what to do actually. So here in this first verse, the state of the universe is described. The elements are all in unmixed state, or it's an unmixed element. Lord Karanadaksha Vishnu saw the creative function suspended due to non-combination of his potencies, the 23 elements. So all the elements were created, all the elemental demigods were created. However, they don't know the functions, how to perform or how to mix together. So after the demigod offer their prayers, their request was, please help us, please guide us. So Karanadaksha Vishnu sees this, and then he uh, actually helps them helps them in proceeding the creation. Right. So here we see all these elements in this picture. You can see that all the elements are created. However, they are separate. All the elements are currently separate state, and they are in unmixed state. Mhm. So, by the potency of um, Karanadaksha Vishnu, then he enters into each of these elements. That's what we discussed in the last session. So, the cohesive energy, thereafter, the Lord sends his Bibrat Shakti. Vibrat Shakti is nothing but the potency to combine. Now, in our experience also, we see various elements like the earth, water, fire. Like there's a table. In the table, there is fire element. So how can we know that there is a fire element in the table? Because if we give enough heat to the table, then it'll catch fire. So unless it has a fire element, it won't catch. Right? So in each of the elements, there is a mixer of other elements. Right? So this mixing was not happening. They were all separate unit. So the Lord, he sends his Bibrat Shakti, or the cohesive energy, which amalgamates all the different elements, right? which combines all the different elements. So here, the Lord, which is Karanadaksha Vishnu, he expands himself into three things. Three, himself into three, divides himself into three. From his left hand comes the Paramatma, from his right hand comes Lord Brahma, and from his eyes, so in the middle, comes Lord Shiva actually, who actually carries all the living entities from the body of Mahavishnu to this area where the material nature is. So this is the area where the material nature is, and that area is called as Pradhan. Right? Pradhan. Right? So, and he also creates the element, but the elements are in unmixed state. So therefore, the Lord enters into each of these elements, and then he combines those elements. So this is what is explained here, that thereafter the Lord sends his Bibbat Shakti, or cohesive energy, which amalgamates all the different elements. Then he enters into the universal fetus as Garbhodaksha Vishnu. So simultaneously, when after these things happen, then from the pores of the body of Mahavishnu, this universe starts getting manifested one after another. You start seeing. So over here, you see this one universe, but now there are unlimited number of universe comes out of the body of pores of the body of Mahavishnu, and then these elements are actually, or these universes are floating in this Karana ocean. This ocean is called as Karana ocean. Okay, Karana, or it is also a causal ocean. Causal ocean. Right. So they float. Now here, one thing to remember is this universal creation that is happening is discussed in various parts of Bhagavatam. So it is described that in Canto 2, Chapter 5, whatever description is given is the proper description. Over here, Maitri Rishi is also giving some kind of description. However, this description is not in order. It is jumbled up, right? Because he's just giving the summary. He's not going into details. So he doesn't go sequentially. Somewhere he misses. So therefore, you see the sequence here and there. But these are two different. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says that the sequence which is given in the Canto 2, Chapter 5. Similarly, there is another sequence that is going to come in Canto 3, Chapter 26, where again this will be described. And that also is correct. So that those sequences are the correct sequences. Similarly, if you go to Chaitanya Charitamrita or if you go to Brahma Samhita, Laghu Bhagavatamrita, you will find more and more details. Right? So this description is spread over in many literatures, because always you see there's a discussion between two devotees going on. Based on the question asked by the receiver, the answer is given. So it is not all the time very consistent, right? And sometimes the universe also gets created in little different ways also. Right? So especially in Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a uh, in the sequence in which um, the manifestations of the different avatars of Krishna comes, is a little bit different than given in other books. But that happens. So that was a vision that was given to Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami. So it is not like one way the universe is. It is done in multiple different ways. However, there is a common pattern. Right. Like in Ramayana, if you see Ramayana written by Sri Valmiki Muni or Sri Goswami Tulsidas ji, there will be some difference in the narrations they are giving. And other narrators also they narrate Ramayana, but there will be some difference. And those differences are what they have been shown. Right? Because this literatures, what they are writing is not storytelling. Right? This is their vision. Right? This is this called as Leela Smriti. Right? Leela Smriti is they are seeing what is happening, and that's what they are writing. So this is called as Leela Smriti. Similarly, in the 10th canto, when Sri Shukadeva Goswami is narrating Krishna's pastime, he is seeing many things. Like he's describing Dwarka, he's describing Vrindavan. And the way he describes Vrindavan or Dwarka, it doesn't fit the image which we have currently Dwarka, right? So because he's seeing the spiritual world, when he's describing, he's seeing those pastimes, and whatever he's seeing, he's narrating those. So therefore, there'll be something, which will look like discrepancies, but it is not. So this is how we understand when we are studying the literature. Otherwise, we'll say, oh, it is a kalpana. It is not a kalpana. Right? It is what they are actually seeing. So today we'll start with the third verse, verse number 3. Let's chant together. Sa anupravishta bhagavan chesta rupena tam ganam bhinnam samyogam asa suktam karma prabodhayan. Thus, when the personality of Godhead entered into the elements by his energy, all the living entities were enlivened into different activities, just as one is engaged in his work after awakening from sleep. Right? So, here, this will happen actually quite a later stage. Right? But it is given that, when the Lord enters, and he's just summarizing the thing. So he's just summarizing the what is going to happen. Right? So continuing so Srila Prabhupada in his purport, lot of times when you read Srila Prabhupada's purport, it has got some kind of connections from the previous verses also. Right? Sometimes he's putting a concept based on only one theme of the verse. Right? So here, because in the past few verses, continuing from chapter 5, the topic of Nitya Baddha is going on. Therefore, I wrote, continuing the discussion on Nitya Baddha. Nitya Baddhas are eternally conditioned souls. Like us, we are eternally conditioned souls. So they are called as Nitya Baddhas. Um, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that the jivas that is coming from Karanadaksha Vishnus, they are all Nitya Baddhas. So jivas come from various places. Right? Yeah. There are certain jivas who are coming, who are eternally there in the spiritual world. There are jivas eternally there in the material world. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur explains that the Nitya Baddhas are the jivas that is eternally in the material realm. So here Prabhupada is giving some highlights that how this creation is happens and then it is maintained. So creation happens, then maintenance, then dissolution, then again creation. So the same jivas who came in the previous creation, they went for some time in the state after the state of dissolution in the body of Mahavishnu or Karanadaksha Vishnu. Now they are given opportunity again to start their work based on their desire. So this is what Prabhupada explains. Every individual soul remains unconscious after the dissolution of the creation and thus enters into the Lord with his material energy. These individual living entities are conditioned soul everlastingly. They are always, in a state of condition. But in each and every material creation, they are given a chance to liberate themselves and thus become free souls. They all are given chance to take advantage of the Vedic wisdom and find out what is their relation with the Supreme Lord, how they can be liberated, and what is the ultimate profit in such liberation. By properly studying the Vedas, one becomes conscious of his position and thus takes the transcendental devotional service of the Lord and gradually promoted to the spiritual sky. So, these conditioned souls are eternally bound. However, they have an opportunity to get out. And it is depending on us. Right? So, we get this knowledge from the Vedas, and therefore, the Vedic knowledge is such important. And Vedic knowledge has various stages. Right? Because Veda has to, cater for everybody, right? Cater the needs of everybody. Not everybody is at the same platform. So therefore, the Vedas it begins with a very basic thing that is called as Karma Kanda, right? Right? So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Traigunya Vishaya Veda, right? Nistraigunya Bhava Arjuna. The subject matter of the Vedas is within the three modes, right? So Vedas is within three modes. Right? Traigunya Vishaya Veda. The subject matter of Veda is within three modes. You transcend Nistraigunya, Bhava Arjuna. Arjuna, you transcend these three modes and accept the process of devotional service because otherwise you'll be stuck in this material world. So therefore, this Vedas will have various sections like Karma Kanda, right? Karma Kand in the Sanskrit term, Jnana Kanda, and then Upasana Kanda. So these are
So that's what devotion is called, Upasana.
now Upasana Kanda. Part of the Upasana Kanda is devotion, because Upasana Kanda, so Jnana Kanda is mainly impersonalism, right? Karma Kanda is demigod worship, so that you go to the higher planet and enjoy. Upasana Kanda starts with basic devotional service practices. And then when you are really into devotional service, then you go to the other literatures, right? The bhakti literatures, right? So that is Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. These are bhakti literatures, right? So therefore, you will always find difference in these literatures, what they actually propagate, because these literatures are written in such a way that it enhances the faith of those who are practicing, let's say, Karma Kanda section, right? So it will be written in such a way that
they think that's
that it is, right?
That's
This is
confusing
it.
to me.
Yeah. So the practitioner of Karma Kanda will never be able to accept the bhakti literatures, because for them this is like totally out of syllabus, right? But in bhakti also, when we come, we lot of time read these other literatures, come across these literatures and read, and then we try to that why this is the process, why there is a conflicting message, like you are saying, right? It is
Confusing.
It's confusing. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So because those books are written for that, like for example, Srinivas Gandhi Grande Prabhu, he sends a email for to all the devotees for Ekadashi, right? And then Ekadashi Mahatmya is given in that. He writes all those, right? But if you read, those are the benefits for people who are, and those are actually fulfilling. If you wish, you will get those benefits. Like if you do this Ekadashi, it is equivalent to doing one Ashwamedha Yajna, right? But we are not interested in the results of the Ashwamedha Yajna. Right? Those are meager results. You want something which is very high. You want pure devotional service. Right? So therefore, those benefits are there. And Srila Rupa Goswami explains in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu that this is it's like catching a fish, right? A bait. So, well, if you want to catch a fish, you put some bait, and then you drop that rope in the water, and then the fish catches it. So similarly, those benefits of Ekadashis are given as a bait, but it is not meant for the devotees. Yeah. Because for us, we do Ekadashi to please Krishna. Right? That is the only purpose we have. Right? So therefore, you'll find various literatures in the um, including this Vedic literatures, but those literatures we need to understand it is written for the purpose of advancement of people in various categories. It is not all these literatures are applicable to us. Therefore, our guide, our scriptures, what we need to study is very simple and straightforward, which is starting with Bhagavad Gita, then Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, then Chaitanya Charitamrita, right? Nectar of Devotion or Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu.
So, if all literatures are written in such a way that everybody thinks that theirs is the best,
Yeah.
then there has to be some way for, like, is it is it that once you go down the path of Karma Kanda, and if you really go down the path of Karma Kanda, then eventually the next path will be shown to you.
Yeah, some things will be shown. Like for example,
Eventually the bhakti will come through
Right.
that path, but you
Right.
have to go through that path if you're in that state.
Yeah.
Something.
Like for example, somebody who is following Karma Kanda, by default, they understand that we are not the body, we are soul.
Yeah.
Right? Because they are saying that in their next life,
They want to enjoy that.
they want to enjoy. But initially, they don't ask the question. But if they come across a Brahmana who explains that if a Brahmana is proper, he explains that you are doing this and you are going to get the benefit, and then he's going to explain who is going to get the benefit. So you are actually a soul. So the knowledge of soul, so self-realization begins at that point, right? So then if somebody is intelligent, they may ask, this is a benefit, but then in the same karma kanda section it will be given that these are temporary benefits.
There will be clues.
So yeah, so there'll be clues, okay, that this is temporary, right? So then what is then they may ask a question, because if they are like too much covered, they will not ask the question, because if too much covered with material enjoyment, they may not ask the question. But if they have some kind of sense, or have enjoyed that multiple times, and they're thinking, oh, I'm not enjoying it anymore,
Yeah, it's
then
not enough.
yeah, it's not like so. This cycle is there, right? This purushartha, we called it as dharma, artha, kama. So first is dharma, means following this literatures, karma kanda, whatever processes are given. So that is following dharma. Then that dharma will generate artha, right? And then with this artha, what are you going to do? You're going to enjoy kama. And then finally, so you go through this cycle, dharma, artha, kama, dharma, artha, kama. And finally you say, oh, I'm tired of dharma, artha, kama. So after that, what is next step is moksha. Right? So they will inquire for moksha. So these are the four Purusharthas. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came and gave the Pancham Purushartha, which is Prema. So Prema Prumartho Mahan. Right? So this is the last and the topmost. Prema Prumartho Mahan. So for us, taking to the path of the teachings of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and having some faith in Srila Prabhupada indicates that we have gone through all these things, because we don't have taste. Right? As soon as we read what Srila Prabhupada wrote, it clicked us. Right? But it doesn't click to everybody. So there's still time to go for them. Right? So we can try a couple of times, but then we cannot force on them, because then that becomes the ninth offense. Yeah. It is an offense to instruct a person who doesn't have faith. Right? So that's an offense. So, but that doesn't become offense very first time, because first time you don't know what is the state of that person. So you may try couple of times, but if the person doesn't take it, then we have to give it. Otherwise, they will have a negative thing for Lord Krishna himself. So these are the literatures: Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Ujjwala Nilamani, and so on. There are so many literatures, but these are well focused on bhakti, say bhakti centered. And this will, when we read these literatures, this will give us faith in the process of bhakti. So therefore, we have to invest our time in studying these literatures, not going here and there. Okay, today I'll study Mahabharata. Mahabharata is good, but the portion of Mahabharata we are interested is in Bhagavad Gita. Right? In general, we need to know the storyline of Mahabharata. Right? But if we invest our time in studying these literatures, where we get our nourishes, this will nourish our faith. Right? Because we need nourishment, right? If we have to live, we have to live in this body, we need to feed the body. Similarly, we have to feed the soul with the nourishment of bhakti. And that is coming from reading these many literatures. These are the literatures that will give us the nourishment. Coming back to the purport, the individual soul in the material world engage in different activities according to their past unfinished desire. Right? We start with the same process where we have left, and those unfinished desires, now we're going to fulfill this. After the dissolution of a particular body, the individual soul forgets everything, but all merciful Lord, who is situated in everyone's hearts as the witness, the super soul, awakens him and reminds him in the past desire, and thus he begins to act accordingly in his next life. Right? So this actually happens every day. When we go to sleep, we forget everything. So every morning we wake up, Super Soul immediately reminds us. But this happens instantaneously. Okay, this is my family, this is my husband, this is my wife, this is my children, this is my job, this is where I do things, this is what I need to do today. All this remembrance, Sarvasya Chaham Vriddhi Sannivishta. Right? Prabhupada actually covers in, I think, next few verses. Um, That's the role of Paramatma. Upadrashta Anumantascha. He is overseer and permitter. And he also gives the remembrance and the forgetfulness. So he reminds us what we need to do. This unseen guidance is described as fate, but actually it's not fate. And a sensible man can understand that this continues his material bondage in the three modes of nature. Right? So one has to become a sensible person. Right? How do we become sensible? We become sensible by coming in contact with another sensible person, right, and following the instruction. That is the role of Guru. Right? So if we don't come across across a proper guru, what happens? We may come up with wrong conclusions, right? So wrong conclusion by many philosophers. This can also happen to us, even after coming to bhakti, if we take wrong association. The unconscious sleeping stage of the living entity is just after the partial or total dissolution. The creation is wrongly accepted as a final stage of life by some less intelligent philosopher. So people think that, the intelligence which we have been provided, we can come up with ideas in spirituality also, right? And that doesn't work in spirituality. So the same thing continues, that many philosophers, they come up with their own philosophy and try to explain this, but it doesn't work really that way. That's what. So here Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his Sarartha Darshana Tika, he says that Chesta Rupena, the word Chesta Rupena is there, means it's a Kriya Shakti or energy of action. So when the creation is happening, in order to do some action, the mode of passion is required. So Kriya Shakti is nothing but the mode of passion. For doing something, we need the mode of passion. So this is his way of providing this Kriya Shakti to the living entities. Karma refers to the actions of the jivas or their fate. The fate is, see, there is nothing like fate in our literatures. Right? We use the word fate, but actually it is karma. Everything is karma. There is no luck, nothing like that. Right? We think that somebody got lucky. We also use this word. I also use it many times. But there is nothing like luck. We need to understand this very clearly. Luck concept is not there. It is all based on karma. Based on your past actions, you are getting currently that reactions. Same situation, two different people getting two different reactions. So that's how this works. Now, verse 4 and 5. Is talking about the universal form. So now the creation of the universal form will happen from Garbhodaksha Vishnu. Thus set into action by the will of the Lord, the 23 elements produced by the gigantic universal form, right? Uh, Adi Purusha or Vishwarupa or Virat Purusha, which is the resting place for all planetary system and all movable and immovable creations. Right? So that is now getting created. So universal form, you need to understand, is nothing but it's the entire universe, right? However, some philosophers, they cannot see the entire universe, so they imagine as a form. So therefore, it is sometimes called as a imaginary form.
That is spiritual and material
It is a
universe?
material form.
Material.
It's the entire universe.
Material universe.
Material universe. But then that universe can be described as a, like for example, this house can be described as a person, or car can be described as a person. Prabhupada describes car as a, the body, right? Like the two headlights are the two eyes, something like that. And then the person who is driving is the soul, right? So similarly, the universe can be conceptualized as a Virat Rupa or Virat Purusha. Right? So that is what it is. So verse number 4. Prabuddha karma daivena tayo vimsakti प्रीरितो अज्ञानियत स्वभीर मात्राभीर अधिपुरुषम. When the 23 elements were set in action by the will of the Supreme, the gigantic universal form or the Vishwarup body of the Lord came into existence. Now this is happening within the material universe. This is happening by the will of the Lord. When it is says, it is will of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. because this is within the universe. Right?
So there is one Vishwarupa form for one universe. Like there are many
Yes,
universes, material
yes.
universes. The one
Each universe will have their own. So after the creation of the universe that is coming out of the body, it expands. They stays in the Karana ocean for 1,000 years, and then Karnadaksha and Vishnu enters into each of these universes, Garbhodaksha Vishnu. And then from him comes the Virat Rupa or Virat Purusha. So Virat Rupa or Vishwarupa. The Virat Rupa or Vishwarupa, the gigantic universal form of the Lord, which is very much appreciated by the impersonalist, right, is not an eternal form of the Lord. It is manifested by the supreme will of the Lord after the ingredients of the material creation. Lord Krishna exhibits this Virat or Vishwarupa to Arjuna just to convince the impersonalist that he is the original personality of Godhead. Now, Krishna showed this, he showed the complete form to actually Arjuna. Whatever form was shown to Arjuna was complete, but he also showed the forms 5 times, 2 times to Mother Yashoda, one time to a sage, I forgot his name. One sage, Rishi, he showed that. And, and then one time in the assembly of um, Kurus, he showed that. That was very partial. But to Arjuna, he showed the entire form. Krishna exhibited the Virat Rupa. It is not that Krishna was exhibited by the Virat Rupa. The Virat Rupa is not therefore the eternal form of the Lord exhibited in the spiritual sky. It is material manifestation of the Lord. The Archa Vigraha or the worshipable deities in the temple is a similar manifestation of the Lord for the neophytes. So Archa Vigraha or the deities at the temple, right, they are there for person like us, right? Because for us, we cannot see the Lord directly. Right? So the Lord actually manifests in this world in various different ways. One, he comes through the literatures, other he comes as Archa Vigraha. So like that, he is worshipped in different ways. Now, when we see a form, then we can actually connect with him very easily, right? We have in temple, so many deities. So when we see the beauty of the deity, the beautiful form of the Lord, right? Then we develop some love for him by the mood of service, right? And we show that love for him in by worshiping in him in different ways, right? But in spite of the material touch, such a form of the Lord as the Virat or Archa are all non-different from his eternal form as Lord Krishna, because the Lord himself is present in these forms. Right? So in the Sarasa Darshani Tika, Srila Vishwanath Thakur saying, this verse shows how universal form was generated. The elements which comprise creation, combining together by the Supreme Lord, who entered into them by his portion, Matraya, assuming a condition where the main qualities manifested became transformed into a fetus. Right? So he enters into the Garbhodaksha Vishnu enters into the universe, and then from him, the entire universe is created. And this, the impersonalist or, the other kind of philosophers, the sages, they visualize this form. Therefore, this is imaginary. Right? Yeah. It is actually real.
the impersonalist also, because I thought they don't even believe in God. Like
No,
they
they
believe just
believe.
like
No,
consciousness or
no.
something.
Here, Prabhupada is writing, right?
Different kinds of
Yeah. No. Impersonalist believes in form, but they say these forms are all actually Maya,
Mm.
appreciated by the impersonalist. See,
Mm.
Prabhupada is writing he is writing here that
Maybe Buddhist or something.
the Virat or the Vishwarupa, the gigantic universal form of the Lord, which is very much appreciated by the impersonalist. Yeah. And it is not the eternal form of the Lord. So impersonalist also believes, they also come to the temple worship, they do, but they think that this is temporary. I think I took one class on what is impersonalism, And in that we discussed that there is, they use this term paramarthik satta, which is the paramarthik. What is the highest satta? Satta means what is the highest truth. So paramarthik satta is Brahman. But then there is a vyavaharik satta. So in day-to-day work, there are certain truths, right? But these are not eternal truths. So similarly for deities, for them, in the Virat Rupa, these are not eternal for them. They are lower category of truths. So they accept it, but they are actually attracted to the impersonal form of the Lord. Yeah. So sometimes this is called as Virat Rupa or Vishwarupa or Hiranmaya. Hiranmaya is a golden womb. Right? So verse number 5. Parena visata swamin mat matraya vishvashraganaha chakshobha anayoyam asadya yasmin lokas chara achara. As the Lord in his plenary portion entered into the elements of the universal creation, they transformed into a gigantic form in which the planetary systems and all movable and immovable creation rests. So now it is describing that all these universes are getting the elements within the universe are getting created. So Prabhupada explains about the characteristics of spirit and matter. The elements of cosmic creations are all matter and have no potency to increase in volume unless entered into by the Lord in his plenary portion. Right? So matter is dead. This is the statement we can say, that matter is dead. But spirit
Cannot expand.
cannot expand, right? But what makes it expand is the spirit. Makes it grow. Right? Like in the womb of a mother, the body is getting produced. Gradually, it is becoming bigger and bigger. So this body is getting bigger because of the presence of the soul. If the soul is not there, then the body will not grow. Right? Similarly, when a person is dead, the body doesn't grow after that. Right? It decomposes, immediately started to decompose. Right? So here Prabhupada is using the same analogy later on. This means that the matter does not increase or decrease unless it is spiritually touched. Right? Now, when we are saying decompose, what is actually happening is bacteria within the body is actually eating it up. That is, yeah? So they are actually getting nourishment from that body. Matter is a product of spirit. So this decreasing in the body is also happening because of the bacteria, right? So therefore, we need to understand that how that works.
Increase or decrease.
Decrease or decrease. The matter doesn't increase or decrease. Like this table, once it's created, it will be like that. It will slowly decompose because bacteria or whatever, some living force that will make it decompose. So matter is product of spirit and increases only by the touch of the spirit. Right? The entire cosmic manifestation has not assumed this gigantic form by itself, as wrongly calculated by a less intelligent person. As long as the spirit is within the matter, matter can increase as needed. But without the spirit, matter stops increasing.
So if something is put, some inanimate object is put into space and there is nothing there, no living being.
Yeah, so it will just stay
It will
there.
stay, it cannot.
Cannot do anything. For example, as long as there is a spiritual consciousness within the material body of the living entity, the body increases to a required size. But the dead material body, which has no spiritual consciousness, stops increasing. So in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, importance is given to the spiritual consciousness, not to the body. The entire cosmic body increased by the same process that experiences our small body. So in we are macrocosm, microcosm, and then there is the universal, which is macrocosm, and it acts in the same way. So similarly, the Lord has to enter in order for this everything to get manifest or expand. Right? One should not, however, foolishly think that the individual infinitesimal soul is the cause of this gigantic manifestation of the universal form. Right? The universal form is called Virat Rupa because the Supreme Lord is within its plenary portion. Right? So this is what is Prabhupada trying to say. This verse shows how the universal form was generated. The elements which comprise creation combining together by the Supreme Lord who entered into this portion. Okay, so this is the same actually. Because Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, the Prabhupada separated the two verses. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur actually combined the two verses into one. 4 and 5 are together. Verse 6. So universal fetus, Hiran Maya. So this fetus, which is there in even in the child is getting birth at that time also it begins with a fetus, small fetus, right? So this is universal fetus.
Universe.
Each universe, yes. So universal fetus, Hiran Maya, or the universal fetus, or it is sometimes called as golden womb. Right? With the living entities resided 1,000 celestial years in the Karana ocean. This is before the entry of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. Right? So all the universes now has the living entities within them. However, the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu has not entered. Right? In the third canto 26th chapter, it is later given that actually Garbhodaksha Vishnu takes those living entities and enters. So that's a difference again. Here it is given that it is very, yeah. Next verse number 6. Hiranmaya sa purusha sahasra parivassaran anda kosha swapsu sarva satto prabhetim hita. The gigantic Virat Purusha was Hiranmaya lived for 1,000 celestial years on the water of the universe, and all the living entities lay with him. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada said, what is the role of Garbhodakshaya Vishnu? After the Lord entered each and every universe as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, half of the universe was filled with water. Right? Right. What is this water? So later on it is described. It is the perspiration of the Garbhodakshaya, because this womb is getting created. It is a lot of heat inside. So Lord perspires, and when he perspires, this ocean is created. And that ocean is called as Garbhodaka ocean. So after the Lord entered each and every universe as Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, half of the universe was filled with water. The cosmic manifestations of the planetary systems, outer space, etc., which are visible to us, is only half of the complete universe. Now it is actually not even half. Actually, if you really see the description which is given, is if you see this is the universe, only this much portion, almost like 3/4, is Garbhodaka ocean. Yeah? And this much is the space where all the universes are there. And within that also, the lower portions are very small.
Oh, you mean all planets?
Yes, all the planets. So if you consider it like a whole ball, 3/4 of the ball is like full with water. Right? So it is like, if you see all kind of half we are saying here, but actually it's not really half. But the measurement, if you see, it's almost like 3/4 of this whole universe is filled with Garbhodak ocean water. And this portion within this, the biggest planet is the planet of Brahma. It is the largest planet. It's on the top. It's the planet of Lord Brahma. And Then the second largest sphere is Maharloka, Tapaloka, Janaloka, Swargaloka. But the lower portions are very, very small. Like our where we live, this is very, very small compared to the entire creation.
Ours is that one round thing on that flat
Yeah,
thing.
right. Ours is that one round thing. So if you see the cross section like this, so this is the Bhumandala,
Yeah.
right? Bhumandala. And within the Bhumandala, there are concentric circles, right? In the center,
Oceans,
yeah,
ocean things.
yeah, these are different ocean, Milk Ocean, yeah. In the center, there is Mount Meru in the opposite way, like this. And in the southern side of Mount Meru this is our Earth. Right? Our Earth is like a dot. If you take a dot like this, so this red dot, we can consider this red dot as Earth, right? So this is Jambudvip. This particular way is Jambudvip. Right. Okay, coming back to the discussion. Before the manifestation takes place and after the entrance of Vishnu within the universe, there is a period of 1000 celestial years, which we discussed earlier. All the living entities injected within the womb of Mahatattva are divided in all universes with the incarnation of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, and all of them lie down with the Lord until Brahma was born. Right? So again, this sequence is also, not a sequence later on it will come. It will be much more clearer what it is. That sequence is correct. Right? Brahma is the first living being within the universe, and from him all the other demigods and the living creatures are born. Manu is the original father of mankind, and therefore in Sanskrit, mankind is called Manusya. Right? Humanity in different bodily qualities are distributed throughout the various planetary system. Okay.
Manusya comes from Manu.
Manu, yeah. Manusya comes from Manu. Man also comes from Manu. Yeah. So in Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's Tika, he is writing that in order to produce the organs such as mouth in this form, so now this form is going to be created. So and then this will be starting from verse number 12. So when we are actually created, we do some kind of activities, right? Each and every living entity does some or other kind of activity. Now, these activities, for that, we require senses. And each of the senses are controlled by different devatas. Right? So those devatas have to be created. Those senses have to be created. The sense organs have to be created. All these things have to be created. And those creations will be explained. So here, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is writing, in order to produce the organs such as mouth on this form, right? First, the three Shaktis are described. Right? So without the energy, so there is two concepts. One is energy and another concept is energetic. Right? Without energetic, the energy doesn't have any meaning. So from energetic, the energy comes. Right? So energetic is the Supreme Lord. Right? Is Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. And then he actually invest the energies in whatever energies he have. And here the energies will be described. What energies are going to be needed in order to create the organs. So these fetus, the result of the combined elements Vishwa Sarjam, was endowed with Jiva, Prana, and Adhyatma Shaktis. So Deva, Karma, Atma, Shaktiman. There's a term. So um, these Shaktis are now going to be described. And then what these Shaktis do, that will be described later. So he divided himself by himself, meaning in order to expand, you know, he divided himself into many. So what he did is there is one Jiva Shakti, 10 Prana Shakti, and 3 Atma Shaktis. So from the energetic, which is the Supreme Lord, the Jiva Shakti is manifested, right? And this is the concept of 1, 10, and 3, right? So I think I have one picture which explains that. So one Jiva Shakti, right? Or so where it is. One Jiva Shakti, 10 Prana Shaktis, and 3 Atma Shaktis. Now, why these Shaktis are needed? Now, this living entity is there, right? But that the living entity has to identify itself with the activity it is going to do, right? So that kind of consciousness has to be built around the living entity. So we'll see later on that how
subtle body.
yes, this is all subtle things, right? Yeah, these are all subtle things, right? But then for performing any activity, you need prana shakti, because prana is the energy giving force, right? In order to do something, in order to speak, I need energy, right? So that is all. In fact, everything in our body is happening through prana, and this prana will be described later. So prana shakti has to be created. So he is creating all these things. He's creating the jiva shakti, he's creating the prana shakti, he's creating the other 3 atma shaktis, and this atma shakti will be discussed later, in order to be given to the jiva so that the jiva can then further do its activity, right? So this energy has to be given to them. So therefore this 1, 10, and 3, the Virat Purusha or the universal fetus consisting of total energy of the Mahatattva, divided himself into himself by 3 into 3, that is the Jiva Shakti, the consciousness of the living entities. The consciousness has to be given. And then Prana Shakti, the life airs, and then self-identifications, which are subdivided into 1, 10, and 3 respectively. So for identify myself, I have to be given these 3 different Shaktis so that I can identify myself with the material nature, with matter. So this is what is happening. So let's go into the details. सवै विश्वसर्जं गर्भो देव कर्मात्मशक्तिमान् विभाभाज आत्मनम् एकदा दशधा त्रिधा. Okay, so this is the 7th verse. So divided into this. So 1, 10, and 3. What is this 1, 10, and 3? So a consciousness has to be given to the living entity. And that consciousness is called as Jnana Sakti. Unless we are conscious, we will not be able to um, participate in anything, right? If
Will not
we will be, yeah, we will not be able to do anything. So the first thing that is has to be given is consciousness. So that is the Jnana Shakti. Okay. Now, once the consciousness is given, then the living entity can identify itself as self-identification with the body and the mind, right? Self-identification with the material products, and self-identification as a servant of the Lord. So 3 things, 3 kind of identification is there. These are templates you need to understand. Not everybody will have the same thing, because some people are identifying themselves with matter. I am body, other people I see as body, right? and these people are there for my enjoyment. And whatever is there is for my enjoyment. So that is the self-identification at the level of material products, right? Or self-identification at the level of body and mind. I identify myself with body and mind. But some of the jivas, they identify themselves as living entities, part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. So for that is also required. So three kind of identifications are there. So these are all created right now. And then there are 10 life airs that are created. What are the 10 life airs? Prana, Apana, Udana, Samana. So we'll see. And their roles will. So all these things are getting created. Where it is getting created? At the universal or Virat Purusha. And then that will be given to all the living entities. Right? So a global template is created. Like for example, um, when this society was created, right? So there was a template for each of the homes. That this is how it will be, like 3-bedroom kitchen, right? 4-bedroom kitchen, 2-bedroom kitchens. There is a template for 2-bedroom kitchen, like 2-bedroom living hall kitchen, right? Some place will be 3-bedroom living hall kitchen. So this will be designed in such a way, right? So like that, a global template is created, and then on the basis of the template, then all the other things are created. This is what is going
Like
on.
software, you create the template and then you inherit from that.
Inherit from that, yeah, exactly. So Prabhupada is explaining what is this 1, 10, and 3. Consciousness is the sign of the living entity or the soul. The existence of the soul is manifest in the form of consciousness called as Jnana Shakti. Kriya Shakti means the Shakti which helps us to do things. That is Kriya Shakti. Jnana Shakti means Shakti that is needed for acquiring knowledge or awareness or consciousness. The total consciousness is that of the gigantic Virat Rupa, and the same consciousness is exhibited in the living individual person. The activity of the consciousness is performed through this life. Now, once the consciousness is given, activity has to be done. How the activity will be done? It will be done through the prana, which is of 10 divisions. Right? The air of the life are called as prana, apana, udana, vayana, samana, and also differently qualified as naga, kurma, krikara, devadatta, and dhananjaya. So these are the 10 different kinds of airs. It's the same air, but doing different function. It's one air, but doing different function. And when it is doing different functions, it is being named differently. The consciousness of the soul becomes polluted by the material atmosphere, and thus various activities are exhibited in the false ego of bodily identification. Yeah. So, what happens is this consciousness is originally pure, but as it comes in contact with matter, it becomes polluted. And when it becomes polluted, you know, then that polluted consciousness is called as false ego. So, false ego is nothing but is polluted consciousness. These various activities are described in Bhagavad Gita 2.41 as Bahusakai Anantascha Buddhayo Vyavasayina. The conditioned soul is bewildered into various activities for the want of pure consciousness. In pure consciousness, the activity is one. What is that one activity? Is the servant of the Supreme Lord. The consciousness of the individual soul becomes one with the supreme consciousness when there is a complete synthesis between the two. Right? So when the living entity is identifying itself as the servant of Krishna, that is pure consciousness. Right? When it is identifying itself as an enjoyer, that is the false or polluted consciousness. So this is polluted, identifying as enjoyer. And here the identification in pure consciousness is I am servant of Krishna. Right. I'm servant of the Supreme Lord. Right. And so these are the 10 different prana or 10 different life airs. So the basic is the prana, which is we are breathing through the nose, the air which we are breathing through the nose. And then when that same air helps in pushing the um, contaminated things from the body, that is called as apana. When it is um, helping digestion of the food, it is samana. And when it is to udana is when it is pushing the air on the top of the through the throat, that is basically udana. And vayana is total air circulation throughout the body. Naga facilitates opening of eye, mouth, etc. Right? When we are actually very sleepy, very tired, then at that time, this actually air facilitates opening of the eyes and mouth, etc. Krikara is it helps in increasing our appetite. Kurma is helping contraction. Right? And then Devadatta is helping relaxation by opening the mouth wide in yawning. So this is Devadatta. And Dhananjaya helps in sustenance. Right? So this way you see that every activity which is going on within the body is happening by this prana. It's one prana doing different functions. So one prana performing various functions. Right. Now, Prabhupada is later talking about the self-identification which is based on the purity of consciousness. So when the consciousness is pure, how one identifies themselves, right? But we also discussed this here. They are identifying themselves as I am the servant of Lord Krishna. So here it says that the consciousness is divided into three modes of self-identification according to the proportion of purity. The Adhyatmika level or self-identification with the body and the mind. Adi Bhautika is self-identification with the material products, and Adi Devika or self-identification as a servant of the Lord. So is identification as 1, 10, and 3, right? So this is a 3 which is discussed here. Right? 3 kinds of identification. So, of the 3, Prabhupada says, Adi Devika or self-identification is the beginning of purity of consciousness in pursuance of the desire of the Lord. Right? So, the third, which is Adi Devika level, right? We also discussed this, in one of the class that how everything is divided into this Adhyatmik, Adi Bhautik, and Adi Devik levels. So the Adi Devika person identifies himself, he's one in desire with the Lord. So basically one, he is not really one with the Lord. Impersonalist thinks that I am one because I am Brahman, the supreme consciousness is Brahman, and I merge into that Brahman. That is the how the impersonalist thinks. They are not one in desire, right? So here the devotee is one who is one in desire with the Lord. Right. So what that means is, what is the Lord desiring? His desire is in alignment. So Lord's desire is that the living entities should serve him. And the living entity's desire is, oh yeah, I should be serving the Supreme Lord. So that is one in desire of the Supreme Lord. So this is the same thing which Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur explains in his purport. 8th verse. So this Virat Purusha is the first avatar of Garbhodaksha Vishnu and is the self or unlimited living entities that all rest in him. He is the self of the unlimited living entities that all rest in him. So again, always think of Virat Purusha or Virat Rupa as this universe itself, right? So when we think in that terms, then we understand it more clearly. So that is the place, this is in the universe, all the living entities are existing, isn't it? So that's what it is saying, is the self of all self of unlimited living entities that all rest in him. Okay, next we verse number 8. एषा हि अशेष सत्त्वानाम् आत्मा अंशः परमात्मनः आद्यो अवतारो यत्र असौ भूतग्राम विभावते. So this Virat Purusha, okay, we read this. The Srila Prabhupada's translation is, the gigantic universal form of the Supreme Lord is the first incarnation and plenary portion of the Super Soul. He is the self of unlimited number of living entities, and in him rests the aggregate creation, which thus flourishes. So here, the word which is used by Srila Prabhupada is plenary portion. Now we need to understand this term. What is plenary portion? Plenary portion of the Supreme Super Soul. So the term plenary means it's complete. Right? So the English dictionary meaning of plenary is complete. So it's a complete portion of the Supreme Soul. Right? Whatever is the Supreme Lord, um, whatever energies he have, the plenary portion also has the exact amount of energies, the same energies. So here, the divine tree of expansion, understanding the plenary portion of Vishnu, this is what is explained in this particular page. So Lord Krishna, who is Swayam Bhagwan, he has 64 qualities, which is 100%. There is nothing more than that. Then he expands into Vaikuntha expansions. And those Vaikuntha expansions, now over here, Vaikuntha means the total Vaikuntha, which includes Goloka also. Right? So the Vaikuntha expansions, the Balram, actually Lord Balram expands into the Chaturvyuha forms and Narayan forms, the majestic form of the Lord in the spiritual sphere. So when the Vaikuntha, when we say the word Vaikuntha, it sometimes, we use the term Vaikuntha for only the Vaikuntha part of the planet. But in general, when we use Vaikuntha, it is Vaikuntha and Goloka. The Vaikuntha can be understood into two ways. When this term Vaikuntha is used, it is a contextual word. Depending on the context, we have to understand the meaning. When sometimes the word Vaikuntha is used, it includes Vaikuntha itself, plus it is Goloka. This is all Vaikuntha. But within this Vaikuntha and Goloka, there is also a Vaikuntha region, which is this one, right? So sometimes this Vaikuntha only means Vaikuntha, where Lord Narayan is present, right? with his expansions. So if we look at the diagram, I think Maple Valley, yeah. So if we look at this diagram, so this region is Vaikuntha, and then this is Goloka, right? So sometimes the word Vaikuntha is used to indicate that both of them together. But sometimes it is used only to indicate Vaikuntha, which is this one. Right? So similarly, in this particular verse, when we are talking about Vaikuntha expansions, this is the expansions of the Lord, which is actually Vaikuntha, just Vaikuntha. So Balaram expands into Chaturvyuha and Narayan, the majestic Lord of the spiritual sky. So this is just talking about only the Vaikuntha region.
Balram is Narayan.
Balram expands. See, Balram expands into the Chaturvyuha. So first expansion of Balram is the Chaturvyuha form. Again, going back to the diagram.
Yes. Sankarshan,
Yeah. Sankarshan, Pradyumna, Aniruddha, and here. So here, I think the expansions are not given in this one, but here it's given. So from Goloka, Krishna never leaves Vrindavan. Right? So Krishna is always in Goloka. He is always in the Goloka Dham. So Krishna is always here in the Goloka Vrindavan. Now, when Krishna's expansions, which are outside Goloka Vrindavan, happens by this first quadruple expansion. Here you see first quadruple. So Vasudev, quadruple means four, right? So Vasudev, Sankarshan, Aniruddha, and Pradyumna. These are the four quadruple expansion. So Vasudev is Krishna himself. Sankarshan is Lord Balaram. So when Krishna went from Vrindavan to Mathura, at the border, when Krishna just crossed the border, he became Vasudev, Vasudev Krishna. Okay. And when Vasudev Krishna comes back to Vrindavan, he merges into the body of Lord Krishna because Krishna is the source of all the incarnations. So they all stay with him. And when Krishna leaves, he actually leaves as Vasudev. Right? So Lord Ram is also Vasudev. Right? So this again from the Sankarshan, there is a quadruple, again there is a quadruple expansion that happens, second quadruple expansion. And from Sankarshan of the second quadruple expansion comes Lord Narayan.
I always thought Narayan was Vishnu. I didn't realize he was.
He is Vishnu, yeah.
Okay.
But from him comes, from Sankarshan comes, expands as Vasudev. Again, the second quadruple expansion.
But that's not Krishna, that's Balram.
No, this is not Balram, this is Krishna himself. So again, here also, the first expansion that is happening is from Balram only. All the expansion happens from Balram, but again, those expands as Krishna himself. It
So Balram, so the Krishna and Balram
yeah.
Expand into Vasudev and Sankarshan.
Yeah.
And then Sankarshan expands into Vishnu.
Yes. The second Narayan, so that is from the second quadruple expansion comes this Narayan form. Here, this is the form. Let's see, here it is also shown in this picture. From Sankarshan, directly Narayan is coming. Lord Narayan. Right? These two rays, do you see this?
Mhm. And Narayan is
Vishnu himself, means Lord Vasudev. Basically, he is the Vasudev form.
the Vaikuntha Lok Vishnu.
Yeah, he is a Vaikuntha Lake, yeah. So like that, all the expansions are happening. Okay. So again, Prabhupada also writes the same thing here. If you see,
So this is so confusing. So how come, maybe this is not the right question for this thing. Let me know if I'm digressing too much. But there is that thing that says, no, that the 10 expansions of Vishnu, and it includes Krishna. So that's how we grew up thinking.
that is in the material world. This is all in the spiritual world. In the material world, there are 10 avatars. Now, those 10 avatars actually coming through Shirodakshaya Vishnu, who is there in the Dhruv planet. They are all coming through Shirodakshaya Vishnu, who is in the Dhruv planet. It's all the they can directly come, but actually, it's like the president of the country can directly come to Seattle, but he doesn't do that. He takes the permission of the governor, and then he comes. They make proper arrangement, and then they come. So similarly, the Lord himself comes. He descends as Prakash Vigraha into each and every universe. There is a Swayam Bhagavan Krishna coming, but then Shirodakshaya Vishnu actually makes arrangement. He tells all the devatas that first of all you go and take birth. This is given in the 10th canto. So here it is written, see, Balaram expands into Chaturvyuha and Narayan, the majestic Lord of the spiritual sky. So why I'm explaining all these things is understanding the plenary portion. We come across this word plenary portions many times. Now we need to understand what is the meaning of plenary portion. So by tattva, right, means by the powers what Krishna has, all the other form has similar powers. There is no difference in powers. So by tattva they are similar. By qualities they are different, right? So Vaikuntha Narayan has less qualities than Krishna himself. Lord Ram has more qualities than Vaikuntha Narayan, right? Krishna has all the 64 qualities. So these four qualities are not there in any other form other than Swayam Bhagavan Krishna. Venu Madhuri, Rupa Madhuri, Leela Madhuri, and Prema Madhuri. This is only there in Krishna. Right? So a lot of time we use the word that qualitatively we are same as Krishna. But we are actually not same because we are only having at the max, the living entity has 50 qualities. Right? At the max, the living entities can have 50 qualities. Right? But Krishna has 64 qualities to the fullest extent. The living entity can have 50 qualities not to the fullest extent. Among the living entities, the fullest extent that one who has is Lord Brahma. He has the highest number of qualities to a very high degree. And then higher than him is Lord Shiva. Right? So the plenary means full. Every expansion retains 100% of the original divine potency and qualities. Right? So Lord Narayan has like 60 qualities, 93.75%. Right? And the nature of this is the nature of the plenary expansions. The analogy is given like a candle. Uh, like one candle lighting many others, each flame is equally bright and powerful. Right? So this is the analogy this is given. One in divinity, distinct in form. So in divinity wise, they are same. Right? So this is the nature of a plenary expansion. They are complete and undiminished. They are complete in power. Right? Their potency is similar. Right? So similarly, the creation layer has these three Purushas: Mahavishnu, Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Shirodakshaya Vishnu. And all these avatars are actually coming from Shirodakshaya Vishnu. Right? All the avatars actually descend in this world from Shirodakshaya Vishnu. So they are also plenary portions. When you read Bhagavatam, you come across this word plenary portion again and again. But therefore, you need to understand that qualitatively they are different. power-wise they are same. So by rasa they are different.
But
Right.
they're all coming from Balram.
They are all coming from this Mahavishnu is coming from the second quadruple expansion of the Shankarshan of.
One of them is the Paramatma, right? One of these
Yeah,
two.
this is Paramatma. This is Paramatma, Shirodakshaya Vishnu.
So Paramatma is coming from Balram, not from Krishna.
No. From Balram, Mahavishnu is coming.
So if Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is Balram, then and
Hold
Paramatma
on.
is
So,
Kshirodakshaya Vishnu.
yeah, so I'll show you that this is in Bhagavad Gita chapter 4.
I was just like, my mind is blowing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always thought Vishnu is Krishna, I mean, not Balram.
Yeah, to come as an incarnation, Krishna doesn't come. I mean, he comes directly also once in a day of Brahma, right?
But once in a cave Brahma he comes, but it still comes through. I think I have not covered it here because it's too.
But otherwise, he comes through um, Mahavishnu or Kshirodakshaya Vishnu.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking. He doesn't come directly, he comes through Vishnu. So, like when we
That's
say
why
10
we say that Krishna is an
incarnations,
incarnation of
they
Krishna.
are not direct Krishna's incarnation, and that's why one of the 10 incarnation is Krishna. But that Krishna is not always Krishna himself. He comes as an incarnation through Lord Vishnu.
So,
But
chapter.
once in a day of Brahma, he comes as himself.
No, still he is coming through, though he is coming, he is still coming through Shirodakshaya Vishnu.
Even if he's coming on his
Yeah.
own.
So you see this is the diagram, it will make more clear. Right. So Krishna, okay, this is, yeah, this is more. Yeah. So Lord Krishna is Swayam Rupa. Swayam Rupa means the original personality of Godhead, right? And then he has like Tadek Tadek Atma Rupa, and then other is Avesha. Right? This is Avesha form. Now this Swayam Rupa has again two parts, Swayam Rupa and Swayam Prakash. So this Swayam Prakash is Lord Balram himself. But actually Lord Balram is also Lord Krishna. Right? Krishna himself, even Radharani is Krishna. Right?
Expands into
Yeah. So similarly, he expands as Balram also. And that form, which is Sri Balram, is there for the purpose of serving Krishna. Right? So this is Swayam Prakash. Right? And then from Swayam Rupa again, there is two expansion, Prabhav Prakash and Vaibhav Prakash. Right? So this Prabhav Prakash is nothing but is the same feature of the Lord. For example, when he's Krishna, in the Rasa Leela, he expands. All the Krishna that is expanded is same potency, right? So that is Swayam Prabhav Prakash. Right? And then Vaibhav Prakash is like different emotional features of like Sri Balram is a different emotional features. Son of Devaki, a two-handed form, which is also Krishna, but it is a Vasudev form. Right? So that is Vaibhav Prakash. Now, from the Prabhav Prakash, right, the first quadruple expansion happens. Now, this is according to Chaitanya Charitamrita. As I said, there is some difference in Chaitanya Charitamrita and other books. Here in this, Prabhupada is saying it is coming from Balram. Here in Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is saying that it is coming directly from Krishna. The first quadruple expansion.
There is some question.
Yeah. And from Shankarshan of the first quadruple expansion, Narayan comes.
That's what my understanding was more in that, at least that it's coming from Krishna's side, not Balram's side.
Yeah, so this is from Prabhupada. But Prabhupada over here is saying is coming from Balaram.
Okay, so it's two different.
Two different ways. And from Narayan of Vaikuntha Narayan, the second quadruple expansion comes. Vasudev Sankarshan, Pradyumna Manudata. And from the Sankarshan of the second quadruple expansion comes Shirodakshaya Vishnu, which is Mahavishnu. From Mahavishnu comes Garbhodakshaya Vishnu. From Garbhodakshaya Vishnu comes Shirodakshaya Vishnu. And when all the avatars they descend, right? When they all of them descend, they actually come to Shirodaksha Vishnu, and he makes all the arrangement for the avatars to descend. Even it is Krishna coming directly, still he makes the arrangements. Or any other avatars, he makes the arrangement. Because Lord Brahma approaches him, Shirodaksha Vishnu, and Shirodaksha he offers him prayers. And then he makes arrangement for different forms of the Lord to come to perform different pastimes.
If we go to the previous screen, yeah. That one again is a little bit confusing, where the Swayam Rupa goes again into Balram. So it's like Balram is up there and then Balram is again from.
Yes. And that Balram is because it's son of Devaki, right? So there are two Balrams, right? One is Balram within Vrindavan,
Yes.
and one is Balram outside Vrindavan.
Yeah, because
that-
wherever Krishna is there,
There
there is
Balram is
Balram.
there.
So that Balram outside
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
come from the Upar wala Balram, it comes from this
Yeah.
Krishna.
Yes.
Okay. Makes sense. I mean that.
Yeah. So therefore, it is written Sri Balram, son of, and then this is son of Devaki. That's why it is written 200 form, son of Devaki. That is a different Krishna. And actually, that Krishna is actually Vasudeva Krishna.
Because all this time when I think of Paramatma, I think of Krishna. So if we're going by the Srimad Bhagavatam thing, then Paramatma is not Krishna. Paramatma is coming from Balram. So it's kind of completely changes my whole.
So, can you repeat what you're saying?
So in the Srimad Bhagavatam version of this, the Balram is the one expanding into this Chatur
Yes.
view. So he's the one who creates Sankarshan, who creates Mahavishnu, who creates whatever expands whatever into Mahavishnu, then Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, Kshirodakshaya Vishnu. Kshirodakshaya Vishnu is Paramatma. So that means Paramatma is Balram. It's not Krishna.
No, that's what I think. So from here there are four.
From here it makes sense.
Yeah, see, here there are four things coming, right? One is Vasudeva, other is Sankarshan, Pradyumna.
It's coming from Prabhav Vilas, which is Krishna. But in the Srimad Bhagavatam one, it's not.
Here, see, can you go up? No, down. Like scroll up. See here, you have made that lam. Originate from Lord Balram.
Balram, yeah.
Lord Balram is also.
Where does it sit?
Yeah, here, you see. Originate from Lord Balram.
So that first quadruple expansion originates
From Lord Balram.
Oh, okay, then I'm confused again.
So
then
Prabhav Vilas is the feature of Lord Krishna.
okay.
Right? It is a feature. So Prabhav Vilas. So it's a Vilas means unlimited pastime forms, right?
And there is reference also, Chaitanya Charitamrita.
Yeah. Yeah, the reference is there.
Okay, so the Paramatma in our heart is coming from Balram. Because if this first quadruple expansion
He's
from Balram.
performing that action to manifest the Mahavishnu. But that Mahavishnu, see, like, for example, Shirodaksha Vishnu is making arrangement for the avatar to come.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean that Shirodaksha Vishnu is the avatar.
Yes. Okay.
Right? So similarly, Balram is making arrangement to do this. That doesn't mean that it is Balram who is expanding.
So Balram is not expanding into Narayan.
No. This is actually everything is happening by the will of the Lord, right?
Okay.
So Balram is the servant, right?
Yeah.
He is even the Sheshnag and everything is Balram. So Balram is performing that seva of expanding into four things, right?
Okay.
Bringing these four deities into existence.
Okay.
Vasudev, Sankarshan. Vasudev is Krishna himself.
Krishna. Yeah.
Vasudev, Sankarshan. Again, Sankarshan is himself. Balram himself, right? His aspect of Sankarshan is Balram. Pradyumna and Aniruddha. Right? So he is making arrangement for these four deities to appear. We can think like that.
But these four deities are Krishna.
Of course, it's all part of Krishna, right? Because Balram is also coming from Krishna. But isn't it?
Yes, I mean, yes.
He's a
but
separate
not-
person. Why not?
I mean, okay, so when I think of Paramatma, even though everything is Krishna, I'll not think that Paramatma is Radharani, right? I think of
Yeah, so
Radharani
Paramatma is a
separate.
separate entity, right?
Yeah.
So
So that way, I think Balaram and Krishna are separate entities.
yes, but
So who is in Paramatma? If is it
Paramatma is
Balaram, Krishna,
Paramatma is a form of Krishna,
Krishna.
but it is originating from the with the help of Sankarshan, who is also a form of Krishna, but actually is also Balram. Right? He also Balaram. Like Lord Ram is also Krishna, isn't it?
Yeah,
It
everybody
is a
is
different
Krishna.
feature. Yeah.
Yeah.
Originally he is
But
Lord.
it's still separate, right? Like we
Yeah.
don't
So
think-
similarly, Balram is separate. Sankarshan is separate. First quadruple expansion Sankarshan is separate from second quadruple expansion. Right? Here the name is Vasudev. This Vasudev is separate from this Vasudev. Right? This Sankarshan is separate from this Sankarshan. And this Sankarshan is called as Mahasankarshan. Right? So in a way it is very difficult. Now we are saying coming from this coming from this, but actually it is not coming. They are all eternal. Still there is a gradation. This is very difficult for us to
I
conceptualize.
think yeah,
Yeah.
totally beyond.
Yeah, it is beyond our beyond our way of So originate from Lord Balram. Lord Balram is also manifested in them. See, he is also manifested in them. They eternally reside in Dwarka and Mathura, right? So now that Balram is also there in Dwarka and Mathura, right? There is Dwarka planet altogether different than Mathura. Simultaneously, they are all existing together. So Balram is there with Krishna in Goloka. Balram is there in Mathura. Balram is there in Dwarka. Balram is there in Jagannath Puri. Right? Balram is there in Ayodhya as Lakshmana. So like that, these are all eternal forms. But simultaneously, that particular role is a role of servant. Lord Balram is a servant of Lord Krishna. That
Yeah, last point, it says this four
last time so.
time forms, yeah.
So unlimited quadruple. So there is not two, here only two is given. There are unlimited quadruple forms like that.
And they're like pastime forms, right? So they're like for the pastimes, these forms are there, right?
Yeah.
So for the pastimes, whatever incarnation has to come will come from.
Yeah. So for example, if you see, there are unlimited pastimes actually happening. Right?
Yeah, as many waves are there, that many
Yeah.
forms are there, and each form is a pastime, right?
Yeah, each form is a pastime. And then there are unlimited pastimes. So that also we have to keep in mind. Yeah. So again, going back to Wisconsin, Maple Valley. So here, see if you see there, these are so many different forms. Narsimha, right? So who is Narsimha? Is Vasudev. Here you see Narsimha, Sankarshan, Madhusudan, see Sankarshan over here, right? Then here, this form is Ananta. Right? This is Gayatri, Varaha, Madhusudana, Achyuta, Lakshmi. So they have their own planets, Vamana. So these are having different pastimes with different devotees. Pradyumna. Right? Then here, Vamana again, Garuda. So they have their own planets. They have their own. Some of them are Sankarshan's planet. Some of them are Vasudev's planet. Some of them are Aniruddha's planet. Some of them are Pradyumna's planet. But then there are different like um, Achyuta is Vasudev, right? Krishna is Vasudev. Narayan is Vasudev, like that. And Sankarshan will have different names. So like that, there are unlimited forms. Therefore, there are unlimited quadruple expansion. But the last quadruple expansion, which is there, from the Sankarshan of that last quadruple expansion comes And that Sankarshan is known as Mahasankarshan. And from that Mahasankarshan comes Mahavishnu. From Mahavishnu comes Garbhodakshay Vishnu, and from Garbhodakshay Vishnu comes Shuradakshay Vishnu. So that is how this we get some idea. Of course, we cannot get a full picture of what it is. But here I wanted to explain what is plenary portion. Plenary portion, when the word is used, plenary portion means they have full power. Means plenary means full. You need to understand this. Plenary means full. Every expansion retains 100% of the original divine potency and qualities. So they have the full qualities in full. But though they have it, they do not manifest it. They only manifest what is needed.
It says full qualities, but then it says 60 qualities.
Yes. So within the 60, there is full of 60 qualities.
In Lord Ram.
In Lord Ram. Lord Narayan.
60 full, but not all 60 full.
Yeah.
64 is only with Krishna.
64. So the other day I showed all those 64 qualities. And in those 64 qualities, those first 60 are common. So Prabhupada talks about the various expansion. The Supreme Lord expands himself in two ways: by his personal plenary expansion and separated minute expansion. The personal plenary or complete or full or absolute expansions are Vishnu Tattva. So another term when you hear the term Vishnu Tattva, that means they are plenary expansions. And the separated expansions are the living entities. Since living entities are very small, they are sometimes described as the marginal energy or tatastha of the Lord. But the mystic yogis consider the living entities and the supersoul Paramatma to be one and the same. It is, however, a minor point of controversy. After all, everything created rests on the gigantic Virat or universal form of the Lord. Right? Now, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in Sarartha Darshini Tika, he explains, for purifying the heart of the worshippers of Paramatma, this form should be first worshipped. Which form? Where we are talking about Virat Purusha. Right? So, if you remember in the second chapter, there are two kinds of yogis. Second canto, chapter 1. Two kind of yogis are described. Right? One is attached yogi, other is detached yogi. Okay. One is attached, other is detached. Okay. Now, what these yogis are? These are Ashtanga yogis. Ashtanga yogis means they are practicing Ashtanga yogas. Now, while practicing Ashtanga yoga, there is yam, niyam, asana, pranayam, right? These are the first four, then pratyahar, right? So, then there is come as pratyahar, then there is dharana, right? Dharana, and then dhyana and samadhi. These are the stages of 8 stages. So at the stage of dharana means you're holding. You're holding what? You're holding something in your heart. So dharana means they're meditating upon something. Right? So for an attached yogi, somebody who has crossed the stage of pratyahar means they have given up up to the first 4 stage. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayam. You can do it at home. Pratyahar you cannot do at home. Pratyahar means you have to give up worldly things. That means you have to go to jungle and stay with some yogi who is practicing Ashtanga Yoga. Now you went there, but you still have attachments. So what do you meditate upon? What is your dharana? What are you holding in your heart for meditation? You are holding the Virat Rupa or Virat Purusha. So you meditate upon Virat Purusha. Rupa or Virat Purusha.
But why Virat Purusha?
Because that is how their development will happen. This is given.
But you're saying that they go to jungle and they are practicing with some yogi.
Yeah.
But they still have some attachment.
They have material attachment. They are not able to give up material attachment.
So they're in their heart, Virat Purusha is there?
No, Virat Purusha, you have to meditate. Now, dharana, when you say you meditating, so meditating on what? Light or sky.
Something.
So the person who is guiding them, their guru, will tell them that you need to because they'll understand, right? By talking with them. So they'll say, okay, now you should meditate upon Virat Purusha because you have material desires. And when they meditate upon that and they still have desires, then they go to the next level. After leaving this body, they go to the next planet, which is called as Vaishwanara Loka, which is the planet of Agni Dev. So there they fulfill whatever attachment they had, they fulfill those desires there. Then they go to the next planet. Once their desire is complete, they are fulfilled, they are satisfied, they go to the higher planet, they enjoy there. Then they go to the higher planet, they enjoy there. And then they keep on going like that. And that is called as Krama Mukti.
You get mukti by enjoying.
Yeah, Krama Mukti.
Enjoy everything in your heart.
Yeah. You have desire also. And then you can go to even to the Vaikuntha planets with this. If they meet some devotee, they still have desires. In Vaikuntha planet also, in this second canto, it is explained that in Vaikuntha planet also, there are devotees who have desire to enjoy. So they also want to serve the Lord, and as they also have a desire to enjoy. So they are also having place there. It's not like having a tendency to enjoy means you are out.
So they serve also.
They also serve at the same time they have desire to enjoy. So Lord fulfills that. And
so that's how they go to higher planet.
Higher planet, yeah.
Because they serve, they go to
the higher planets, yeah. So this is called as Krama Mukti.
But there are chances to fall down also, right?
No, there is no chances. They do these people
because they have desire, but they serve also.
They serve, but they are clear with the goal.
Okay.
They are clear with the goal that I want liberation. But at the same time, I have desires.
Okay.
So they are given opportunity to enjoy and be satisfied and then go to the next planet, enjoy, satisfy, then go to higher planets. So same with the devotees also.
But then even if they have some material desire which may degrade them, right? Like if they have desires to enjoy the opposite sex and all that, they still do that.
Yeah, they can go to the higher
serve
planet,
at
at the same time.
But then, that's very confusing, right?
Yeah, no, that's what even for the devotees also, that devotees, even Krishna is saying that, right? In the 6th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, a practitioner for a short term, right? If you remember this verse, Bhagavad Gita, BG 6. I think 34. No, not this one. Okay, let's see.
Lots of confusing things today.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Arjuna said, "Oh Krishna, what is the destination of the unsuccessful transcendentalist who in the beginning takes to the process of self-realization with faith, but who later desists," means basically kind of fall down, "due to worldly mindedness and thus does not attain perfection in mysticism." Right? Then Krishna is saying, "Oh mighty arm Arjuna," or Krishna is continuing, does not such a man who is bewildered from the path of transcendence fall away from both spiritual and material success?" Because yes, started spiritual path, but he could not continue.
Yeah, so they failed spiritually.
So he failed spiritually. Now they failed materially also, right? Because they could not attain material things also.
Mhm.
And perish like a raven cloud with no position in any sphere. Raven cloud, you know what is some cloud which is,
With,
yeah, which is separated from all the other clouds.
yeah.
It is on its own. Na idhar ka, na ghar ka, na ghat ka, right? He uses. So Krishna is saying, this is my doubt, oh Krishna, and I ask you to dispel it completely. But for you, no one can be found who can destroy this doubt. Right? The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, O son of Pritha, the transcendently engaged in auspicious activity do not meet with destruction either in this world or in the spiritual world. One who does good, my friend, is never overcome by evil. The unsuccessful yogi, after many, many years of enjoyment on the planet of pious living entities, he goes higher planet, is born into a family of righteous people or into a family of rich aristocracy. Now, this is for somebody who is a devotee. Because he wants to. Why? Why? The reason is because then he has to go to the spiritual world. So then he has to practice that. Right? So this is a general principle that is given. Or if unsuccessful yogi practice so this is for a short term. Somebody was done for a short term and he is continuing with the enjoyment. For them, he's saying that they go to the higher planets, they enjoy, and then they come back. Right? But in case of yogis, it is not the case because it is given in the second canto that they keep on and it is their goal to basically enjoyment. Here, this guy has not, his goal is not spiritual yet because he said he gave up. Right? That guy is clear with his goal. But if a devotee is also clear with his goal, then he goes like that, up and up. So it is depending on the clarity of the thoughts. Or if a unsuccessful yoga, after long practice of yoga, then he falls down. He takes a birth in a family of a transcendentalist who are surely great in wisdom. Certainly, such a birth is rare in this world. And then Prabhupada explains in this purport that, I was about himself. So this is.
And his guru. Right?
Yeah.
His guru.
Yeah. So this
Bhaktisiddhanta.
Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati he talks about him. So all time. Okay. What is the time? 9:09. I'll just complete this. So there is an attached yogi and there is a detached. Detached yogi doesn't have to. The detached yogi directly he can meditate on Paramatma. Yes. Yeah. So for purifying the hearts of a worshipper of Paramatma, this form should be worshipped. First, this form should be worshipped. The Virat Rupa. This form is the Atma of unlimited beings, since the individual Atmas are part of this form. Right? This form is a Jiva, Amsa, belonging to a Paramatma, right? Since Paramatma enters into it. Later on, we'll see that Paramatma enters into this Virat Rupa. This form is the original avatar because the yogis meditate on this form being one with its Antaryami, which is Paramatma. All creatures such as Devatas and men or Bhuta Grama manifest within this form. So this is a form description of the Virat Rupa or Virat Purusha. Now in the next verse, this 10, 1, 10 and 3 mentioned in verse 7 are going to be described in the next verse. So we'll stop here. Thank you so much. Gantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Any questions online?
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
हाँ हरे कृष्ण।
प्रभु जी थोड़ा ऊपर जाएंगे, इधर ऊपर स्क्रॉल अप कीजिए तो वहां पे या नो नो टू ज्यादा हो गया प्रभु।
अच्छा।
गो टू परपोर्ट। यहाँ पे लिखा है The entities and the super soul Paramatma and living entities, they are same. Some people consider that, and it says minor point of controversy. Isn't that a big controversy, Prabhuji? Dvaita
Okay.
and Advaita is coming from that thing, right?
Since the living entities are very small, they are sometimes described as marginal energy of the Lord, right? Yeah. But the mystic yogis consider the living entities and the super soul Paramatma to be one and the same, right?
Hmm.
Yeah. So yeah, it is, however, a minor point of controversy. Yeah. So in a bigger
After all, everything created us in the gigantic Virat.
Virat or universal form. So actually it is a minor, because see, ultimate, what is their destination? Their destination is also transcendence, right? Now, when it is presented to us, right, it is made very big, right? Why it is made very big? Because see, the bhakti or devotion to the Supreme Lord is the best, right? Now, what is the competition to the best is the second best, right? The second best is merging with this, with the Brahman form of the Lord. That's the second best. So, and if you see in in 99% of people in India, they are actually attracted to the second best.
Hmm.
So why Prabhupada is stressing so much, so that we don't get attracted to the second best. We get attracted to the best. So in spiritual point of view, this is a minor point of, because ultimately their goal is also spiritual.
Hmm.
Right? So therefore Prabhupada is sometimes, he writes it is a minor point of controversy. Actually, it is a major for us, because he makes it as a major controversy, so that we don't go into that side at all.
Okay.
Right?
Okay, प्रभु वो थोड़ा मेरे को स्ट्राइक हो गया वो
नहीं, अच्छा स्ट्राइक. Yeah. No, that's a good point actually. समझ में आया आपको क्या मतलब?
Yes, प्रभु. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll stop here. Kantarat Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur Pad ki jai. Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bol.
Hari Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mama.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mama Dadu.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we'll stop here. Okay. Stop.